News Weekly. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Batman News Weekly. This is episode 158. It's episode 158, but it's, episode 2 of year 4. You know what I mean? I fucked that all up. But I am your host, Juice Wayne, and we're here with, yes, his name is Fanboy Clay, but now he is DADboy Clay because this man is now a father. What's up, man? How'd that whole thing go?
It's very surreal. So, just real quick story time. Saturday night, Abby went to the restroom and was like, "Hey, there's a clear liquid on the floor." And I'm like, "What?" And I thought she was saying her water broken, but being cheeky about it. She's like, "No, my water didn't break. There's just this clear liquid. What is this?" So we looked it up. Went ahead and called the hospital. They said, go ahead and come in, get an exam. We thought it was going to be a false alarm and we're going to get sent home.
Yeah.
An hour later, they're like, hey, we're going to go ahead and induce you and you're having your baby sometime this weekend. So I was like, oh, shit. So went there Saturday night, left yesterday. So what was that? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I was there for 4 days. Absolutely insane. Baby came from the point of starting the push to actually conceiving was 15 minutes. It was super quick.
Wow.
Yeah. So crazy stuff. I know that we have a lot of questions, or not a lot of questions, but random questions in the Discord talking about dad life. It's been less than 3 days, guys. I can't tell you. Honestly, ask me in a year and I can give you a little bit more of an answer on that one.
Yeah, for sure. It's all fresh. Yeah, I mean, obviously this isn't a comparison thing, but I am now dog sitting for a while, and dude, I forgot how it is to have a dog. Like, is your dog acting weird?
So I have a video. I'll post it in Discord later in the pet section. But we had Flynn meet Amberlynn for the first time when we got there, and surprisingly, I was really worried because he's a very hyperactive dog, but he immediately was like super soft, really low to the ground. Like he wasn't acting all crazy, and he acts as though he is like a nanny or something.
Nice.
Whenever she cries, he is like getting on us and he is like making sure she's okay and like gets up next to her and stuff. It's weird how dogs just kind of know things, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I got one of our dogs because a family had a baby, and I guess they were just worried in case it wasn't going to be a good fit. So we just got one of the dogs. But no, my aunt is out of town for a while, and she has a dog that is similar to my old dog Cosmo. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, we can take care of him for a while. But he's a puppy. And I think when I originally got my old dog Cosmo, he was already 2 years old. So like the puppy energy was gone, but man, this dog is all over the place. And so it's getting used to that again. And then the barking throughout the night and stuff is new.
Do not miss that at all.
Yeah. So I'm just like, but my thing is I always worry about, and this comes to like just anything I have to take care of. It doesn't matter if it's a dog or a baby or whatever. Like when my niece was little, and I don't know if you've done this as a father, but when I had to watch my niece, I was like, is she breathing? I was like, is she like, dude, I do that all the time.
Every freaking hour, dude.
Yeah.
Like if she's super quiet, I'm like going over there and like, I know Abby hates it, but I intentionally like poke her cheek or something and like she'll move. I'll be like, thank God. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's scary,
terrifying.
dude.
Because I mean, how do you get away from like, oh, a dead baby? Like you can't walk away from that. Like
no, not only that, dude. Not only that, like we were driving out of the parking lot of the hospital. Abby was sitting in the backseat with the baby, and I pass like the next block. So we are away from the hospital, and I go, no more nurses. Nobody's helping us. I have no idea what's going to happen. And Abby was like, that's a lot of confidence there, bud. You know that this is going to go on for the next few years, right? And I was like, yeah, that's the whole point of this whole hype up thing that I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it'll definitely be a new experience, but happy for you. I'm glad there was no complications. So this is definitely born early, right?
Yes, it was 3
Yeah.
weeks early.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I was all like, all right, well, what's gonna happen on the podcast this week? And then fucking, oh, I have a baby. I'm like, oh fuck. Uh damn. I was all like, we're gonna cancel this week or what's gonna happen? But we're here for you guys. And yeah, so if you hear a baby in the background, it's probably Clay's baby. So just
Yes.
FYI going forward. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on because we do have a few things to talk about this week. Nothing too crazy. Something that Clay, I believe, has mentioned on the podcast before is seeming like a possibility. What is this? You want to just let everybody know about this possible merger that you've been talking about?
Yeah. So earlier this week, there was a Hollywood Reporter article that came out. And it was a doozy, basically stating that like there are investors basically probing internally at WB Discovery, basically trying to find a weak link and seeing like, okay, well, if you guys are unfit for our money, we're gonna go elsewhere, basically.
Yeah.
So I haven't checked WBD as far as their stocks go, so I don't know how much of a hit it took after this article and more news came out, but it is not looking great. And as I said before, and I'm pretty sure once we started getting news like after Batgirl and everything else, I made this prediction. I was like, I don't see Discovery keeping WBD for that much longer. They could possibly sell in 2 years. And it looks like that might actually happen. Being Comcast, NBC, Universal picking it up. And they technically, no deal can be made with WBD until after 2 years. So it was exactly around the time that I had said. So around April of 2024, nothing can happen until then. But because of who it is, Comcast and Universal, it made me think, holy shit, WB Universal is going to make me actually watch a Fast and Furious movie because Vin Diesel is now officially going to be Batman.
Oh God.
Do you remember that conversation we had?
Yeah. I mean, it could happen. I mean, who could Vin Diesel like logically play in a superhero movie? I always said he should have been the guy that never talks.
Yeah, well, because he kind of wanted to be that a long time ago. He kind of pitched it and be like, I don't even have to talk. With me, I could do it. And a lot of people saw it. People would do like Photoshop and make the suits out for him, and it looked really good. Now in the DC universe, oh man, who could Vin Diesel be?
Because you gotta know, like he can't act. Like he's not great.
No, I mean that's why he's Groot, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but he does Groot in like every language, right? Like that's how he makes up for it.
Exactly. Gosh, I could possibly see him. You know what? Oddly enough, just because I do think Brendan Fraser is moving on to bigger and better things after what I've been hearing about the Whale.
Yeah.
I could see him being like a DCEU robot man.
Yeah, I could see something like that. I don't know, with that voice though.
You would have like he wouldn't have like, I would say he would have to tone down like the attempt at stoicism that he has, because I think he could talk regularly and everything be fine, but he always tries to like talk like this and
No, you know what, to be honest, what's gonna happen is if that happens, because right now, like they're still gonna do the Flash movie and everything, right? And we're building to a Crisis on Infinite Earths. They're just gonna make the Fast and the Furious part of the DCE universe.
I saw
that's exactly what will happen.
Somebody did a Photoshop of the Batman when we first saw the Batmobile, and Dom is basically just leaning on the hood of the car with Batman behind it. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, that I could definitely see something, because like Vin Diesel has so much power to get those movies made. And like freaking Jason Momoa is already going to be in the next one, so they'd be like,
Yeah.
"They already crossed over," because they could literally just be like, in another universe, you're not king, you're a villain. In the Fast and the Furious, you know what I mean? And then Wonder Woman's already there too. She was a part of it. She was like, "Yeah, in this universe, you're not a superhero."
Oh shit, that's right.
You know, so like they have had Peacemakers in there. John Cena, like they've had a lot of people. They've had a lot of people.
Oh,
Isn't what's her
shit.
name in there too? Isn't she in? Oh no, she's in Marvel, right?
Theron?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in Marvel now.
Marvel. So yeah, you could I don't know, that's just funny. There's just a bunch of different people you can go with. But yeah, as for that possible news, I mean, it really depends on what the movies do in the next 2 years, right? Like if the movies do well, I think, all those stockholders and all those people come back.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, I mean, if I was a stock person as well, I used to be when I had like money that I was able to burn. Yeah, something like that would probably scare me too a little bit. And they're just all about money, and it's like, all right, how are they going to make us more? And seeing that big drop originally, I can see why everybody got really panicked about it, right? But if anybody's ever been in the stock market before, you've done stuff in the stock market, you know how fast shit can go up and down. And so I mean, especially with what's going on in America with the recession and all this kind of stuff, like you just expect everything to go down. And so, I'll wait and see. Crypto hasn't come back in a long time, but I still think crypto will probably shoot back up at some point. So, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, you can't really wait. I mean, you have to wait at least 2 years now, right? So it doesn't really matter. It's not something I dwell on. But I do think that that Darling movie's probably going to bomb, I would assume.
Yeah, I've been seeing some crazy shit about that, and like I've seen some clips from Harry Styles. He is not the actor people thought he might be, like in like I guess future films that he's about to be in. So he's not doing great there. But yeah, it's gonna be wild.
Technical difficulties, everybody. We just got shut out of the podcast, which is really cut there. It's because technical difficulties. I don't even know what we were saying, but yeah, essentially, it all depends on what the movies are going to do. So, we'll go from there. But next up, this one's weird, and I don't know if this, I mean, I could see this happening. I don't care for it, but Keanu Reeves returning as Constantine and how it could affect the Justice League Dark and the future DCEU. Now, this is just like, I don't know if it's necessarily rumors. It hasn't been confirmed, has it?
So, from what we have seen, this is coming from an actual reliable source from Deadline. So, this is a reputable source, and they are saying that they are bringing back Keanu Reeves for a second Constantine movie.
Okay.
I do not know how I feel about this, and I honestly don't really care in an odd way. But due to this happening, Madame Xanadu and the Constantine show that were on HBO Max have officially been axed.
Huh.
Which were going to be a part of Justice League Dark, the series that they were going to be treating as like the Defenders over on Netflix. Like just a little while ago, we were told that is still going on. And we were going to follow that development because of Zatanna, which has played a big part of Batman News Weekly, saying that, she was a big part of Batman's, upbringing to become Batman. That's the whole reason why we're following these stories.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of people have these conversations on how like, oh yeah, Keanu Reeves, like they can actually put Constantine, the first movie, into the continuity of the DCEU. And I'm sitting here thinking, how and why?
Yeah. I only saw bits and pieces of that movie, but I mean, I'm still on the fence of like, Keanu's still not the best actor, y'all. Like, I know John Wick and everything is really awesome, but it's because it's his movie and he's able to make himself look as great as possible. I don't think, Like, the one thing people need to notice about Keanu Reeves is he doesn't talk for very long in his movies, if you ever notice.
No.
So, like, it's because I don't think he can, like, really read and remember, like, long monologues or anything like that. Granted, he has the greatest monologue ever in that movie with the two girls. And he's like, "You wanted to butt me? I bought you pizza! Pizza!" And, like, it's fucking the best monologue, and he deserves an Oscar for it. But other than that, I don't think he's ever went, like, longer than a minute on screen talking. Like, maybe it's not even that long. So
yeah, I don't remember any movie where he has had like very long pieces of dialogue. Even if you go all the way back to like Hope Floats or oh shit, what was that other Sandra Bullock
the one with
movie?
the boathouse or house.
Yeah,
The,
not Safe House or something like that.
house, yeah.
Yeah.
Glass
But
house.
like
I don't know.
you look at those movies, he doesn't have big monologues like you're saying.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh yeah, wouldn't it be so cool if like him and Dr. Fate get together and da da da?" I'm like, "Yeah, it would be cool, but I don't want it to be Keanu Reeves."
Yeah, I don't need that. I don't need that. And then how does it? It's funny because we heard rumors of Constantine being cast as a black actor. Now it's just Keanu Reeves, white guy, takes over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not that I don't, because like honestly, I would have just got the guy from the CW. I think he's fantastic. Or
Yeah.
give me fucking Billy Butcher. You know what I mean? Like, give me that guy. Since we already have what's his name in the Batman. Well, technically, you could still have Colin Farrell be Constantine because he's unrecognizable as the
And
Penguin.
as the Penguin, exactly. And that was another thing. Like, I wanted a little bit more accuracy when it came to Constantine when he finally came back to the big screen.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, Keanu's not the greatest actor. I like the British humor and banter that Constantine always has.
Yeah.
And I think it would just fit the character better on screen if he had kind of that aesthetic. And Keanu Reeves, like, it's just like the Batflick versus every other Batman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's badass, he's fighting, he's dark, he's saying F you to everybody, he's killing everybody. Man, him and Keanu Reeves, Constantine would be best friends. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's not really, you're missing the whole point of this whole DC universe thing. Like,
yeah,
there's a disconnect here, and I don't know why.
yeah. I don't. I mean, I just don't. I don't know what some fans want, man. Some fans are weird, like genuinely. It's crazy because I always see, like, you know how like Twitter kind of just gives you what you want to see. You know what I mean? And I always see superhero stuff trending, and I'm like, it's trending with like 2,000 tweets or whatever, and I'm like, this doesn't seem that much to trend, but it is still people holding on to the Snyder Cut, or people still being like the best trilogy in all of comics, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Well, I'm wanting to bring up something because I know we don't have that much to talk about when it comes to news, but since you brought it up, I want to bring this side conversation up real quick. Did you see the new TV spot for Black Adam at all this weekend?
Yeah, I didn't understand it.
Okay, so there's a lot of discourse, but it's because of Snyder Cut people and they're being stupid. Mm-hmm. So it's there's a new poster that's out that says like "No More Heroes" or something.
Yeah.
Right, and it has The Rock in his Black Adam suit on the throne, on his like Kondak throne or whatever.
Yeah.
And then a TV spot comes out, and in the beginning of the trailer it says, before the world was run by heroes and villains, and it shows like Superman, it shows Batman, it shows Aquaman, it shows Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And then it says villains. It shows Justice League footage of Steppenwolf like smashing the ground.
Oh,
and
okay.
Literally for like 0.2 seconds. It is so short. But somebody was able to pause it and be like, that's not Zack Snyder's Justice League. We should rage and destroy WPD. Ah! And dude, it caused them so much discourse.
Mm-hmm.
The Rock tweets again and says, in quotation marks, corrected. And they made a new trailer, but they didn't correct that scene. They just took it out. So they didn't say, oh, we'll acknowledge your Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. We just won't acknowledge Justice League whatsoever. So it doesn't exist anymore.
Wait, they took out the whole intro?
No. Like
just the Steppenwolf part.
Yeah, just the Steppenwolf part. And everybody's like, oh, thank you for listening to us fans. I'm like, no, you idiots. Like, they just said, fine. Like, we will just act like Justice League never happened. Justice or Zack Snyder. Like,
yeah. It's so dumb, dude. I mean, like, I just think as an editor, like, they probably just have an editor that doesn't fucking keep up with any of this shit.
Well, no, one of the very first comments that I saw when somebody, like, people were, like, complaining, and they're like, for everybody bitching about 0.2 seconds of footage, there was an editor that probably just got archive footage, and it was literally the first thing he saw.
Yeah, because if they're like, all right, you need to make this into it, they just give you footage, probably. They don't siphon through everything. They're like, all right, this is all the okay footage that we've been okayed. Make a trailer. You know what I mean? Because they're not giving him the whole movie to make a trailer out of. Yeah. They're just giving him bits and pieces. And so, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect anybody that's ever not worked in the industry to fucking understand that. You know what I mean? Granted, some people are a little bit more aware of how things are, or they can think logically. But for the most part, from what Twitter has shown me, and even like comment sections of anything, it's pretty fucking idiots everywhere. I'm sorry, but like, God, I mean, and it's nowadays is like, I've mentioned this before. If they don't have a profile picture, do not talk to them. Like, genuinely. It's funny though, because I say that, and I know one of our viewers, Raphael, doesn't have a profile picture. But like, I know Raphael enough. I've talked to Raphael enough that I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna give you a pass. But usually, but his to be fair, his profile picture is a different color. It's not gray.
Yes. Yeah, it's not gray. And all he does is he usually, even I'm pretty sure on YouTube, on Twitter, I think he does the exact same thing for everything. It's just a green R.
Yeah, which is fine. It's better than the stupid egghead.
Yeah, and it's acknowledging his name. So that's one thing that I also look for is people who have really ridiculous, like really out there things that you can't tell who the individual would be at all. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not going to remember you whatsoever. But for me, like I have Fanboy Clay. Clay is my name, and at least I put it somewhere in the handle, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I've been dealing with idiots for the last week because of all this drama that's going on the internets with Twitch. And I'm just like, bro, half of y'all don't have a brain. Well, it's just so weird because, like, the tribalism, man, we see it in Marvel and DC all the time. But, like, now there's tribalism for, like, creators. Like,
yeah,
I like Juice. No, like, I mean, there were people back when I was doing the Gotham shit that were me versus this guy named Bobotox, which was funny because we were cool with each other. Like, we would talk in the DMs and we'd be like, oh yeah, what'd you think of that episode or whatever? Like, we weren't like best friends or anything. We were acquaintances, but like, I had nothing against him. The only difference was that I was more like, this episode fucking sucked. And he took more of a chill approach. He was like, yeah, I wasn't too happy with that, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, this fucking sucks. You know what I mean? And when you're the more polarizing opposite, people just hate on you for it. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But that is the internet, and it's filled with a lot of dumb people. Now, the next thing we have, I don't even know who this is, but Clay has something on our list that says Luca being eyed for studio head position at DC Studios. Who the hell is that?
So right now, the people kind of overlooking DC Studios and everything movie-wise for DC content is this duo producers called Abney and DeLuca. Abney, I can't remember her first name, but they're partners, and they used to work with Amazon, with MGM, and they cut their contract to come with Zaslav and work over all this. And DeLuca is being eyed for the position to run DC Studios for literally one reason. And that one reason was that before 2008, he pitched to his studio, and I can't remember which studio it was, that they should make an Iron Man movie, because at that time Iron Man was public domain. Okay. And the head of that studio told him, I think that would be a really bad idea because Iron Man is made out of iron. How does he fly?
That's how out of touch Hollywood folks are.
And what was the movie that started the MCU?
Yep,
Iron Man. I'm pretty sure that guy doesn't have a job anymore.
You'd be surprised. Bryan Singer stuck around for a really long time.
That is also true.
You know,
that is also true.
Yeah, it's the stuff that's not public that we just found out about that. So as long as it doesn't reach mainstream media, you have a job forever. Look at Weinstein; he was around for a really long time. So, and Bill Cosby. God, so much fucked up shit in Hollywood. Anyways. Let's go. And that's pretty much everything. I mean, so I don't really, it's a chill ass week. Like there's not any big events going on. I've been watching a lot of, did you see this? It's funny. It just popped up on my timeline that Tom Hardy entered a jiu-jitsu competition and won.
Dude, not only that, he's been doing this for a while because I was seeing TikToks of his matches.
Really?
Yes. And I was like, that's wild. And then like a few months later, he actually wins this thing. Yeah. That's crazy.
It looks like he got punched in the eye, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like his eye is donezo. But that's pretty insane. So yeah, I thought that was pretty crazy to see, you know, Bane out there kicking some ass. But for the most part, pretty slow and chill week. There's been some comic stuff of like previews and whatnot, but you know, nothing big happening with Batman going on this week. Haven't even heard anything like with the game. I know the game's coming out soon, but they haven't been talking about it.
They've showcased some posters. I do follow their Discord, and there's some really cool villain posters that they've been pushing out. And that's really it. Yeah. And I think they're really wanting to save everything from now on because their game is coming out in literally 1 month, October 21st. So it's almost there. Gladly, I am finally going to be able to purchase that game pretty soon. And I think I'm only going to do the regular version. I'm still even kind of hesitating on doing the deluxe version.
Yeah, I'm not even hyped for it, man. Like, I'm genuinely not hyped. I think nowadays, like, you know, since I'm an old man, I think playing a game is what gets me excited. Yeah. Like, I went back to Red Dead recently, and I'm like, God, this game was so good. Like, Red Dead is so
I went back to Final Fantasy 9.
Are you recording it?
No, I did have some recording for Multiverses for Batman Day, and they gypped me on my icon, so I'm kind of mad about it. But there's like 1 or 2 things that I need to edit out because like my recording kind of fuzzed out, and I'll be able to send it because yes, we are visually able to play some stuff on YouTube now. For all of our YouTube stuff.
It's been helping out a lot. Our views have like doubled essentially, which is awesome. So now, granted, I have also been doing better thumbnails now, so that could also be helping. So that's also a thing. But I think when you actually can just sit down and listen to something and see something cool happening, like honestly, I think what works really well is Red Dead is cool, but I think if you just record a shootout of Red Dead in first person, it looks amazing.
You could do first person on Red Dead?
I go double pistols and I just go da, 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 da. Well, because like I don't know how much you played or like what you like when you were playing Red Dead, what you really cared about like your guns to look like, but they have essentially like modern day guns almost that you can buy at one point. And they shoot fucking fast. So I load those up, I customize them to be gold and black and everything, you know, like face off and shit. And I go out there and I just double gun it. And I'm like, and I just start fucking up everybody. It's fantastic. Because the one thing I love about Red Dead is the enemies never stop coming. Like they just keep coming for you.
That is true. I saw a TikTok that was like, somebody went to return to a place that they burned down, and like apparently there was like 1 or 2 people that burned with it, and they're like, oh man, like this has been a while and nobody's cleaned up the body. And he's like, oh my god, there's a witness. And then like somebody else came and they're like, oh god, another witness. And they just kept going and it went on forever.
It's funny because like you can essentially kill everybody in a small town and people just start showing up. And it's like, how? Back in the day, there's no way y'all heard these gunshots. Like, it's so funny. But I like to go to the big city and just shoot all the cops. Like, and just because they come at you like crazy. We're talking about video games here, ladies and gentlemen. Just want to be clear if you just tuned in. But like, you can go to this big Saint Denis place where it's like the more modern type of city. And dude, you get into a beef with one cop and then all of them come for you. And if you just have the best hiding spots, dude, it's just X's all over the map because that's how it shows where somebody died. And it's insane. As long as you have ammo.
Speaking of, games and going back to kind of the Batman content, GTA fucking 6 leaking. Why doesn't that shit happen to like DC fucking games, dude? Like,
well, did you hear how it happens? Like, because when we think of hacks, right, you think of it like everybody always oh man, some fucking guy like anonymous went and hacked all of GTA or whatever, right? But I was listening to, I don't know if it was Philip DeFranco or somebody covering a lot of this stuff, was talking about how the way a lot of these hacks usually work is somebody is pretending to be an employee. So they're like, hey, Jim, I forgot the password for the server to get into the Slack, blah, blah, blah. And you just got to find one person that is slacking off and be like, oh, yeah, here it is. I got it, blah, blah, blah. And then you get into the password. And then once you get onto these Slack groups or these company servers, you get access to everything. Like at our old job, when we wanted to request time off, like we just had to go through all the files of everything in the company and just go to, all right, no, this is where I can request, blah, blah, blah. Like, we could see some stupid shit on that company. You know what I mean? So I'm assuming stuff like Rockstar, you would assume they have better security, but they went ahead and that's what I heard is that's how somebody hacked. Because they did the same thing to Uber. Like the same hacker hacked Uber weeks prior. So
damn.
Yeah, pretty insane. But I mean, it goes down to like negligence and stuff. You know what I mean? I just don't think all of that. I mean, I don't know. I don't run a companies like that, so I couldn't tell you. But you would think that all that stuff is password protected, like really hardcore need to know kind of stuff. But it's unfortunate. And like a lot of the takeaways, this was really insane to me. I was trying to find bad comments on it because I was going to make a post like, oh, people are fucking probably talking a lot of shit about this. But I usually try to do my research before I tweet something. I was like, let me go and fucking, because I know somebody's probably bitching about this. I didn't see a lot of shit talking on Twitter, which is crazy.
I saw people saying that people were complaining. I couldn't find them. There were so many people who were like, holy shit, this game looks awesome.
Yeah, and I was like, really? I was like, you think it looks awesome? I was like, it doesn't look that different from what we have right now. But it's an unfinished game. And that's what I understand. Unfinished games always look bad. So I'm not judging it. I'm not over here trying to be like whatever. I saw some people pointing out stuff that's different in the game than it is compared to the stuff, like how lively the strip club was. And I was just like, oh, yeah, that's kind of cool. Like a lot of people are moving around. NPCs look better. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of it, they still got to go in there because a lot of that footage was, I mean, we could get in trouble for talking about this, to be honest. Yeah. So, like, there's a lot of footage out there if you want to watch it. So we'll just say that.
Well, not anymore because apparently there's like, for one, there's actually an FBI investigation going into it. And like, apparently every single thing is being taken down. Screenshots, everything being taken down. So I can't even find the old videos.
Yeah, when you got money, it'll be crazy. I'm sure they're out there, but I mean, they're probably on people's hard drives at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it'll be pretty crazy. But yeah, that was a huge leak that happened this week. And then on top of that, a lot of stuff going on in the gaming world, but not enough Batman stuff going on. So pretty crazy. But let's go ahead and go on to viewer questions because I think we had a lot this week.
Yeah, so I'm going to go all the way from the top, all the way down, starting with Alexis Lawrence over on YouTube. I definitely admire your passion on the Batman mythos. I haven't read Batman comics since Batman and Catwoman called off the wedding in Tom King's run 2 years ago, and would like to catch up. What titles or runs should I read to get back up to speed to the current issues? Now, here's the thing, Alexis. I would say this. In regards to that, as the relationship goes, I think you only have to read Batcat, which is the Tom King 12-issue run. Because everything else we did not like, especially in terms of the relationship between Batman and Catwoman, because they've kind of completely ignored it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Zdarsky and Teenie Howard are not ignoring it. They are just doing some things to that relationship.
Yeah, shitty things. Well, I mean, it's soap opera-y things. And that is their verbiage. They said they want to do soap opera things. Now, I actually replied to Alexis through the Batman News Weekly account and kind of mentioned like, oh yeah, well, if you want to read Batcat, I recommended to go read after the wedding. Like, you know, and a lot of people dropped off after the wedding, but I'm like, y'all missed out.
That's true. That's still another 25 issues that they could read.
Because those issues, when they actually come back together on the island, I fucking love those. I was telling Clay, dude, I read that thing like 5 times already. It was fucking great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I love the island issues because it was them realizing that they're both better together. You know what I mean? And so Clay Men drew those, so those were also like really well drawn. And they were, I want to assume, the most beautifully drawn things right before we got the worst art in Tom King's run by what's-his-face for the City of Bane opening.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that kind of sucks. But yeah, I mean, on top of that, if you're looking for Catwoman, Lonely City, I think is probably the best Catwoman stuff that's recent.
We still have one more issue, the last issue on that one.
Killing Time, which Clay got confused with and didn't read the important shit. I would recommend that. And Riddler's One Bad Day, which is all Tom King stuff. So if you enjoy Tom King, you'd read that. But on top of that, recent stuff, I would read the I don't know how you get a hold of this, but the backstory in that 10-issue series in Detective.
Yes. So if you can't find the back issues on their own, because I do think, if I remember correctly, Rosenberg, Rosenberg did say he was gonna have his own trade and hardcover for the House of Gotham. That's the story. But if you can't find it, go ahead and find the trade for Arkham Tower, and they will be in there because that story was amazing. I still think it's probably going to be in the top 3 of stories that we are going to be voting on for the end of 2022 for all of the Batman stories at the end of the year. But yeah, really, really good story.
Yeah. It sucks when those things are necessarily like they're the back end stuff, because when we do our list, it comes out as like Detective 10 whatever, you know what I mean? And I'm like, Detective wasn't great. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that was at the back of Detective. You know what I mean? So that kind of sucks. But all right, moving on, we have Montre Lorenzo. Do you think Batman would work written in manga series format like Naruto or One Piece, for example? Like breaking away from the comic format and have one long continuous story following Batman from year 1 to maybe 20. Where it's a start and finish, as well as characters stay dead. Well, we've kind of been talking about this for a really long time.
And I do think if I were to find the actual episode, I think we have manga somewhere mentioned in the name. We did have a lengthy conversation about this.
Yeah, I believe it. It's definitely on the YouTube, so I will say that for sure. But yeah, I don't think I think it has like anime Batman on the cover of it too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so it should be easy to find. If you just go to our channel and you search the channel stuff, just type in like Batman manga, Batman anime, and it'll probably pop up. So Definitely. But I would love that. I think we did an episode where we talked about how we would run DC Comics, and I said that I would write, I would have a series where it's kind of like what we get now, but I'd also relaunch a new thing where this is the starting point and we're just going to have the series go on continuously. And we're not going to change it up and have a new fucking person come in and change up all the shit and all that kind of stuff. So
episode 145, it is called comics versus manga.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had a very lengthy conversation, and we agree. We think that you could easily like do a reboot and do like a year one for everybody.
Yeah.
Or even an origin for everybody in manga style. I voted to do the Shonen Jump way, which is you release it digitally every single week and wait until it is up like 15 plus issues to finally start doing the trades, which will have anywhere from 5 to 7 issues in it as a whole. And I think it would be great for the industry as a whole, just because you would have people, and you would have to drop the price of the DC Universe Infinite, because Shonen Jump only has it at $2 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can pay $2. Well, I say everybody, but a lot of people can.
It's affordable.
It's affordable compared to the $7 to $9 that you pay for DC Universe Infinite or Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, we'd love to see it, and I don't think that you have to get rid of the current style, but I think it's just something you add to your arsenal, and I don't know why you wouldn't do that. I mean, I would just go pay one of the best Japanese writers or something to take over a series like that. You know what I mean? Because they're already prepared to be able to write for so long. You know what I mean? Like that's how they view stories. I would do something like that. Anyways, moving on to Nathan Cabrera. I'm terrible with names, by the way. If you were forced to write Alfred back in, how would you do it? I don't want to give my actual one.
I was going to say, we're not going to actually answer this question because we've had discussions off recording on some really cool ideas. And me and Juice are very much into the idea that if I have leaned off of writing, but I still love writing, Juice has done more writing than I have in the last 4 years, for sure. But I know that he is madly determined to have like a 100 issue arc at DC with Batman. So if he could retcon some stuff, I'm sure he knows exactly what he would do.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I mean, the current Alfred shit was just so bad. Like, you could have done so many things. And I hate how anybody just pops back up. You know what I mean? Like,
with no explanation, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe they're going to explain it, right? But I know Clay is not a fan of the what is it, like a
non-linear. Yeah,
I don't mind that, but usually the way you do it is you would have Alfred show up at the beginning of the book, right? And then you go into the past and you tell how he got there, right? Like that's the middle of it, and then the end you're back in the present day. Like I don't mind that.
When it comes to non-linear storytelling, though, I will say this because I was kind of because I'm even watching Andor right now, which is a Disney Plus Star Wars show. It's non-linear right now, and I'm really enjoying it. And what I realize, what I don't like, is when the space in between the non-linear is literally something that was in comic phrasing 3 minutes ago. Okay, that's literally only 3 minutes. Why did you wait to then show me what happened before?
Yeah,
when you could have
times and dates and shit.
Well, no. Like when it's super close to what actually happened.
Oh,
if you're saying 300 years ago, okay, tell me that story. 20 years ago, okay, tell me that story. But when you're saying 52 seconds ago, okay, 52 seconds ago was when I started reading this page. You could have already shown me what happened, you know?
Yeah, I think the only time that works is kind of like how King did the Flash fight with Batman.
Yes.
Every panel was a second. And so I think that was kind of cool. And you can do that with the time bomb kind of stuff, right? Like this is happening within a minute of the time bomb counting down. But yeah, I totally get that. But yeah, I don't know. There's so many ways to bring Alfred back. And I think like even like we even mentioned it with Williamson. Like I don't want them to bring back Alfred back right now. But you could have had what Damien did, right? And Damien could have brought him back with the Lazarus Pit stuff, but he didn't. And he was like, I don't want to bring back like an evil Alfred. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm curious if because like we know that Snyder invented Dynesium, which is supposed to heal the body as well, but it doesn't have the crazy properties. I wonder if Dynesium brings back the dead, or if it's just a healing pit. You know? Because Batman, according to Snyder, you know, Snyder probably assumes he's like in his 30s or something like that. Healed him back to like before he was early years of Batman is kind of what the phrasing was or whatever, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Plenty of ways to bring back Alfred. And I actually don't even feel like Bruce really dealt with the Alfred stuff as well as they could have. You know what I mean? They tried to have Tynan do that one issue, but I feel like there could have been more. Like the way Terry McGinnis handled Bruce's death in those 6 issues of Beyond was better than I think Bruce handling how Alfred died in anything.
Oh, 100%. And you know? There was also, what was it, the Alfred one shot where all of the Bat family shared their one story. Okay, yeah. Like there was also there was one issue, I think either before or after that, where like you had a moment for Bruce, but it felt like it was already long past due, you know?
Yeah.
And it didn't feel genuine. It was more of like, oh, we forgot to let Bruce mourn, so let's just throw this in here. Okay, let's move on with the story. Yeah. Like that's what it felt like. Yeah. And I think DC really needs to understand with a character like Batman, and we've been a very big proponent of this. We care more about the small moments with Batman compared to, oh, we need the Batman with all the gadgets. We need the Batman with all the cool costumes. We like the Batman with all the Batmobiles. Like, okay, some of that stuff can be really fun at like random times. But when it comes to getting to know the character of Batman, we need character moments. And there's not a whole lot of those recently.
Yeah, and that's why I've talked about this before. And I stand by my statement that I think a lot of people don't read Batman, they see Batman. You know what I mean? They don't know
I like that phrasing.
Yeah, they don't know a good Batman story, but if it looks cool, it's good to them. And I think that is bad. And I think that's why a lot of people like Zdarsky's run right now, because it looks cool. It's not necessarily great storytelling, in my opinion. Especially this next issue that we can't talk about yet. Looks fantastic.
I knew you were going to bring it up. I wasn't going to say anything. If anybody is new to the podcast here, because I'm seeing a lot of new names in the comments with the last episode, me and Juice have the great opportunity of being able to read these books early. It seems like every single week I am not reading these books early, and then Juice, every single time I get an email that we have an updated folder, I'm like, Juice is gonna message me in like 10 minutes. I just know it.
Yeah.
And almost on the dot, like he'll say something to me, and then he'll say something in Discord. Yeah. And then what was it this past week? Juice was like, have you read the issue yet? I was like, no, I'm busy. He's like, I can't say anything in Discord. Read the damn issue so I can finally say something about it.
And it's funny because I don't have access to the emails. This is like Clay's contact. So like I just refresh the folders every once in a while. And I'm just like, oh hey, well, awesome. And it's because there's books each week that I'm waiting to read. You know what I mean? Whether that be like something Tom King in advance, or it's something like Catwoman, right? Like I'm excited about Catwoman. I'm like, what are they doing with this relationship? And so I will refresh the page like once a day, and just to see if we got anything new, you know? And so, yeah, I will read stuff. Sometimes I will read it automatically. Other times I'll be like, all right, I'll read that later tonight. Like some of the King books I've been holding off on. Or like this week we had the Two-Face one for a long time. I just read that a couple days ago.
Yeah, we do get selected. Like if there is a highlighted book that DC thinks that is going to get a lot of buzz, we get those really far in advance.
Yeah.
And then we get about 2 weeks in advance usually.
Yeah. So that's how it's like. We had when I saw Alfred die, I was like, or come back, I was like, this book fucking sucks. So yeah, it's funny. But anyways, let's move on to I think
Eduardo. He says, "Hi guys, much love from Japan. How do you how do you think Matt Reeves will reinvent Mr. Freeze and the Batman sequel like he did with Riddler if he goes through with it?" So we've had this discussion before. I do see that you did make a comment saying hello Japan on our.
They just opened up today. Huge news apparently for the island.
Oh, that's awesome!
Anybody can go visit Japan now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But we don't necessarily. Like, I know.
Oh, going back.
We don't necessarily think Reeves would do it, especially with how grounded it seems he is wanting to make his world, his universe for Batman. If he was going to do it, we mentioned the likeness to the Dexter villain.
Yeah,
I think it was
Icebox Killer. I think his name is.
Yeah. It would be very much like that, which I think would lean more so if they were to use any type of reference to comics. I think they might use Snyder's version of Freeze.
The one that was obsessed with the girl.
Yeah.
You know what? I could see them going the political route, and his wife is in a coma or something, and he can't afford the bills anymore, so he has to start killing for money or something to pay for her bills. That old song and dance. Because I don't think they're gonna have like her suspended in water and him being a scientist and all that.
Yeah, I think that's a little too much of a stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. And I still don't know how fans think that we could get the supernaturally type of, the fan fictional version of Freeze in this universe. It doesn't make sense.
And the only reason why I say that is this movie made a lot of money. It almost reached 800, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I think it was like 785 or something like that, and almost reached 8.
It could have gone to $1 billion if it was normal. Yeah. I think maybe it hits $1 billion if it's normal. It was kind of long though, so maybe it doesn't hit $1 billion. I don't know.
Yeah, but it still made a lot of money, and I am very much in the proponent of why change something that made you so much money. So I really don't think Matt Reeves would be like, okay, the first book or the first movie is going to be really grounded, and every sequel after that is going to be more and more comic booky and more fantastical. That just doesn't make sense for the universe itself. Yeah. It would be a very large step away from what they originally intended.
I agree with that 100%. To be fair, though, I think people also reference Batman Begins to Batman Dark Knight on how the city changed so much.
True.
But, I mean, so did Rachel. So you kind of let things kind of just pass by.
Yeah.
But I think it's too much of a jump to have your villains be so grounded and then, oh, look, fucking, they're doing puns like Arnold's Freeze. You know what I mean? So, but it is what it is. We'll see where it goes. But I think he would be much like, serial killer. He hides bodies in the freezer kind of shit. And, we'll see what Reeves does. We won't see that movie for like 5 years with the way Reeves works. So I'm not worried about seeing that anytime soon.
Very true.
Who's next?
Raphael is next, saying, "Hi, first of all, congratulations, Clay. But most of all to Abby, obviously, for all her efforts with the new baby." Yeah. In Discord, I was like, I'm good. because I think Drew was the man. Like, I guess he just didn't see our conversation in the general chat, and he's like, "Man, are you okay?" He's like, I'm fine. I just created life." And then he's like, Juice was like, well, actually, his wife did most of the work."
Yeah. And I was like, yeah.
Oh man, but he says, in terms of gaming, who do you think has the upper hand, Marvel or DC?
In gaming?
Yeah.
DC 100%. Is that a question of that?
Well, I think there is in the sense
Spider-Man.
Well, because of the newer developments of gaming. Because there is a pretty large gap between Arkham Knight and what we are getting with Gotham Knights, right?
Yeah.
And then we do know that Wonder Woman will eventually come out. We have already seen the teaser for that. We know the Suicide Squad game is going to come out. We haven't seen shit since last year on that game. Or maybe even early this year. I can't remember. Well, yeah, it was early this year that we had seen something. And then after that, there's rumors. There's always that one rumor. Rocksteady's making a Superman game, right? But we haven't heard or seen anything else. On the Marvel side, okay, we got Spider-Man, we got Midnight Suns coming out on all platforms. We have Spider-Man 2 coming out. Wolverine was announced. They have officially announced that there's going to be a Black Panther and Captain America game set in World War II.
Like, it's during like World War II or something, right? So it's not going to be T'Challa then, right?
It's set in World War II. It'll be T'Challa's grandfather.
Oh, okay. I guess.
Yeah. And it'll have Cap, Bucky, and one of the Dora Milaje. But it's made by everybody that did Uncharted.
Oh, okay.
So that's interesting. Yeah. I really enjoyed the Uncharted games.
Yeah.
So the team who did Uncharted is making this game. And then they just announced yesterday that some studio is doing a third-person Iron Man game.
Ooh, third person? I don't know about that. I like to have the option to go third person. I don't always want my games to be third person. Unless you're FPS. That's it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I the only comment I had to the Iron Man game is, as long as it's not the video game tie-in for the very first game, because that game was horrible. As long as it's not like that. And I mean, the development of gaming has gone like leaps and bounds since 2008. Yeah. So I'm sure it's going to be fun, but there's just a lot more content coming from Marvel compared to DC right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just think I like to judge it off the games that are out now, and they only have Spider-Man. And I think DC has done enough with just the Arkham games to say that they're better. I mean, prior to the video games in general, and like with the MCU being on top, the only thing Marvel had going for itself was the MCU. That was the only thing they could say that they were better, because animation, like games, comics, DC was blowing them out of the water.
Yeah.
So even events, but then, Marvel started doing the D23s and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, all right, now they're getting on the fucking market. Although the one thing I still think that Marvel sucks dick at, even after 10 plus years, is costumes. Their costumes are garbage, man, compared to comic book accuracy.
Yes. Yes.
Like, DC's are insane. Anybody that thinks that DC's costumes are not better than Marvel needs to be checked into a psychiatric ward, because that is insane if you think that Marvel's look better.
Yeah.
Like, put your bias aside and just admit, like, okay, y'all's movies suck, but your costumes are better. I'll take that. I will take that, because they just look better. But yeah, so I would say DC at the moment. And it's also because, like, with the DC games prior, I was like, I need to play that. And granted, that was years ago when Arkham Knight came out, right? But with the Spider-Man game, I don't think I played it right away.
Somebody until Lucas bought it for you.
Yeah, somebody bought it for me. Then I played it. I played it for a little bit. Then I didn't play it for a really long time. Then I beat it on stream. And I haven't even played the new one. So it's just like, I like Spider-Man. I think it's cool. I'm more excited about a Wolverine game. But if I cannot rip somebody's head off in that Wolverine game, it's not worth it.
No, see, here for me, if I can't like completely get myself blown up into a skeleton and fight as the skeleton and then see my body regenerate, then it's fucking game over. That's
so like chunks of meat being blown off and stuff is what you're saying?
yeah, so like there was you remember the really crappy movie Wolverine Origins?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they made a video game. It was called Wolverine Origins.
Mm-hmm.
That was 10 times better than the movie because they had this this feature in the game that like the more you get blown up and shot at and everything, your skin would literally deteriorate, your meat would deteriorate until you could see the adamantium skeleton.
Nice.
And you could actually fight as like partial skeleton and then just wait after everybody was dead.
Yeah.
And you would see your skin regrow.
Yeah. I feel like you shouldn't be able to die in that game.
You shouldn't.
Yeah. I wonder how they're going to do that.
Technically, like, I mean, yes, you do have a health bar in Spider-Man. So, I mean, it's going to be very odd how they make it comic book accurate for Wolverine, you know?
I hope it's not something convoluted where they're like, my powers aren't working as good as they used to. You know what I mean? Don't do something like that. Just give me like, if I gotta like chill to heal a little bit, I'm fine with that. But if you're gonna give me like med packs and stuff to take, I'm gonna be like, bro, what? Like, why would I do that?
Well, I will say this, in the newest iteration of like X-Men or whatever, like nobody can die, quote unquote. What they do is they actually use Professor Xavier to like basically download everybody's memories into Cerebro. So if they ever die, they literally get reborn and then their memories get injected into them.
All right. That's But then does everybody die just for shock value?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
There to really like show how it was done, the writer, Jonathan Hickman, had the OG team of X-Men go out into space and like do a mission, and nobody fucking just survived. It all went to shit. And it was actually kind of like traumatic.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh shit, they just killed the OG team. So like Wolverine, Jean Grey, Cyclops, Storm, like Nightcrawler, like nobody is coming back. Like what the hell? And then they showed how it all worked, and I was like, oh, so no more consequences. Cool.
Yeah, I hate when they do that, you know? Kind of dumb. Anyways, let's move on to Clay Juice? Josie?
Clay Jose? I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, we're terrible with names.
What are your thoughts on the Batman White Knight series? Juice, you want to take this one?
I'm sad it exists. Was it called White Knight, the first book?
It was Batman. Oh shit! What was Batman the White Knight?
Yeah, that's what the first book was called.
Yeah.
The first series was good until the end.
Yes.
It was. I should say it was enjoyable. I don't know if I want to say it was good. It was enjoyable.
I would say it was good. I think that there was some clunky dialogue here and there, but I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it all the way up until the end, because that last panel made me roll my eyes, more so because of the exact same kind of verbiage was used in the television show called Arrow, probably just a few years before that. Where like this whole thing with Stephen Amell's character Oliver Queen was trying, like, he was being all like imprisoned or whatever, and they're like, you killed all those people when you first ended up in Star City. Why did you do that? And they forced him to basically confess because he liked killing people. And in this White Knight series, in the very first or the very last panel, he basically said, oh, I really enjoy beating the shit out of people, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what?
And it's never addressed again.
Yeah.
Because he says, doesn't he also say like he'll like try to get help for it or something? Like,
he
that we were gonna just like go through that in the next book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was terrible. and going on after that. The second book was an interesting read, but you can tell that he was just killing everybody to just kill everybody. And then at the end of the book, there was like nobody left. And then now Beyond just has like, I don't even know what Beyond has.
I was reading Beyond until I just forgot one week that it went out, and I just haven't picked it up again.
Yeah, and then they were kind of pushing that like Bruce and Harley were probably gonna fuck at some point in the Harley spinoff.
And they did, because the Harley spinoff happened before Beyond, and then Beyond came out to say that that they were husband and wife at one point.
Bruce and Harley?
Yeah, between the years of because you haven't been reading it, that's right.
Yeah, no, what the hell?
They got married when he was in prison.
Good on you, Bruce. Yeah, I don't know, but no, fuck that series. It's not great. And also Sean Murphy can be likable at times, kind of not the best to be likable. Depends on at what era you saw him on Twitter, I guess. But anyways, last person, I don't even know how to say your name, but this comment was like, man likes Tom King, dead. Bro, your profile picture is the Batman Who Laughs, who is a fucking garbage character nowadays. So sorry.
Yeah.
You're not gonna hate honestly on Tom King and like Scott Snyder.
And we've discussed this before. Like, the people who usually hate on Tom King, like, they just don't. They kind of just look at, what was the phrasing that you used? They look at Batman and they what?
People don't read Batman, they watch Batman.
Yes.
Or see Batman.
They see Batman, exactly. And
somebody quote that when you're reading this,
I'm going to go back. I'm actually going to go back when you finish editing this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to listen to the episode, because I'm going to I don't know if I'll have that freaking tattooed on me, but Jesus, it's so true. But yeah, I just think that people... I just think that people need to kind of chill when it comes to the degrading of Tom King, because for one, he doesn't deserve it, and two, like, if you don't fucking like it, don't fucking read it, you know?
Yeah, and like, we didn't like Bendis, but every week we're not shitting on Bendis, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, granted, like, and we really despised him. Clay despised him way more than I did. But Clay's not on here like going out of his way to talk shit about Bendis. You know what I mean? And you'll hear us. I make jabs at Zdarsky and Tynan all the time, but that's because we had to read them for so long. You know what I mean? They're like parts of this podcast, whether we want them to be or not.
And I'll be completely honest. At one point, I was calling Bendis cancer to comics.
God damn.
So yeah. So like, I held my tongue for the longest time with Bendis, and like, I don't really talk about him until he is brought up. And with King, I genuinely think like he's kind of moved on to all of this. Like, of course, people still talk shit about him. I think he recently said that his Fear Street, or not Fear Street, that's a Netflix movie, Danger Street, is going to be coming out soon. And like, I did, and he's going to be like, or he said, oh, I'm taking a break from writing or whatever. And people were like, oh, thank God. And like, as like a look back on all of that, King like quoted some of those. He's like, oh, don't worry, I've work ahead. All my books are still coming out on time.
Yeah. He's doing the Hollywood thing again. Yeah. Which I'm curious if this is DC Hollywood or different Hollywood.
I'm going to assume it's different Hollywood. I don't think he's doing anything DC, unfortunately.
I mean, shit, if they're bringing back Constantine, you don't know if they're trying to bring back new gods.
True.
So, like, it'll be very interesting to see what he's working on. But I also will say that, dude, it's funny. I remember I've met Tom King multiple times. But I met Tom King, I think the first time I met Tom King, my exact words were like, yo, Tom King, dude, I love your stuff. And I don't give a shit if people talk shit. Like, I think you're great. And I said something along those lines because he was like, oh, he didn't know how to take it. He was like, thanks, man. And I was like, dude, you're fucking fantastic. I love your fucking Batman run. It's great. Because I met him outside of the Batman Museum or the Comic-Con Museum, but it was Batman themed that year. And him and Mitch and somebody else was there. Were walking out, and I fucking saw him, and I had a quick chat with him. But yeah, it was fucking funny. And then I met him at that con multiple years after that, I believe, as well.
Nice.
Nice guy.
But there's two more questions here in the Discord. Both kind of talking about Keanu Reeves. It's from King and Nevik. Nevik says there's like 3 Constantines in the same universe. No, Joanna Constantine, the dude from the show, and now Keanu. Now I will say the show, like we said, has been canceled. Joanna Constantine is in a completely different universe with Sandman. So Keanu will be its own thing. And then King says, Keanu Reeves returning as Constantine, do you really think that he will affect the future of the DCEU or be the reason for a reset of the universe? I don't think he will be a reason for a reset. I do think that they are just going to possibly treat this as a continuation of the last movie and be on its own. I don't even think it's going to be connected to a bigger universe.
Yeah, I don't think that either. But I mean, we'll see, right? It's gonna be Constantine with a beard, like Keanu beard, which is gonna be weird.
Yeah, that's gonna be odd. I genuinely think that if they're gonna make this movie, they need to make it after the John Wick movies, so that way
they need to cut his hair.
He needs to cut his hair. He needs to shave, and he needs to have like a semi-similar look to what he had in the first Constantine movie.
Yeah.
Which is going to be odd because he's older. He has a little bit more wrinkles. Like, if you remember him with the shaved face in that Bill and Ted sequel movie.
What might look good with the Keanu beard? Give him dirty blonde hair. Like, have him blonde, like get blonde and grow out a little bit, and it's still blonde, but he has his beard. And then, like, just have, if you want to be like, why the fuck does he have blonde hair? It could be because a girl or just something. I mean, you know what? You can actually make it a spiritual thing, right? Like, his fucking hair got fucking fried or whatever, if you want to do that route. But because I think you throw, like, I think they should try to do comic booky, like, at least have him have a brown trench coat, with blonde hair and then his Keanu beard, and then have him smoke all the time or whatever. I'd be fine with that. But I don't care about this movie. So, like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But and it's funny when I think about Constantine, I also think about he was in another movie that was very devil based. Wasn't it called like Devil's Advocate or some shit like that? Wasn't he also in that? Like, I think about that all the time.
Oh yeah.
So it's, I don't know. Maybe I'm always thinking about that instead of thinking about Constantine. But was the main chick in Constantine? Who was that? Who played the main chick? Because I'm trying to think of.
So, Constantine with Keanu Reeves was no, what's her name from Doctor Strange, who played the Ancient One.
Really?
Yeah, she was the angel.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Shia LaBeouf was in Constantine.
Oh, wow. Well, he can't. Well, I mean, he is found God again, right? So I guess he can play an angel or somebody.
Well, that's the thing. The secret post-credit scene in Keanu Reeves' Constantine was Constantine goes to visit Shia LaBeouf's grave, and then like he turns around and he hears something. He turns back again, and Shia LaBeouf is an angel on top of his own grave, and then he flies off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Weird. You sure he wasn't digging his own grave like holes? Trying to break the curse. Anyways, I think that's all we got for questions, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into comic books. And first thing I want to get out of the way is DC versus Vampires All Out War. I stopped reading this book because the dialogue was atrocious.
This took me forever to read, and I will just say Matthew Rosenberg, this is your multiple man dialogue again. This is what had us at odds. This is what had people complaining to you about my reviews. Like, come on, man. When he had these really oddball, like almost Jimmy Olsen type dialogue from Deathstroke in his
Yeah.
monologues. I was like,
Yeah,
this is
the like,
not.
I liked my bus, or we liked the bus. Like, it was
No,
really weird.
it was more of like the oh shit. Let me try to find it. I know that like at one point there's a lot of those like offhand like parenthesis comments inside the inner monologues,
Yeah.
and that just did not sound like Deathstroke.
Yeah, did not at all. I agree. I thought his Batwoman dialogue was fucking horrible.
Yes.
Because there's one moment when she shows up to save everybody, or she like kills a vampire or whatever, and she's like talking to everybody, and they're like, "You work for Damien now?" And she's like, "For a while now, yeah. The benefits suck, but the hours are pretty flexible, you know." Batwoman, of all people to say that, that is like a spoiler comment.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, Batwoman is just as stoic as Batman. Like, she doesn't fuck around. Like, she's got to stick up her butt just like Batman does, because she's a military kid.
So the dialogue that I was talking about with Deathstroke is right here. Like third page, it says, "Turns out the weather wizard, yeah, you heard me,
Yeah,
can save us all." I'm like, what?
yeah.
Like,
Like,
that is not Deathstroke.
and the weird thing is it's not dialogue boxes, right? Or it's thought boxes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's inner
So
monologue.
that means he's saying that to himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard me, brain. I'm talking to you, brain. Inner thoughts.
It's
Like,
very odd because I can understand like some people talking into their like that's what an inner monologue is. It's like they're
yeah,
talking to somebody. But the fact that this is like
Inception at that
acknowledging
point, though.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
acknowledging that he's talking to somebody, like breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Deathstroke doesn't he looks like Deadpool. He's not Deadpool, people. Come
Yeah.
on. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Deadpool was stolen from Deathstroke, as much as what's his face doesn't want to admit it.
yeah.
But it 100% stolen. Their names are literally one letter different. Um, but anyways, the book was just meant to look cool and pretty and kill a bunch of crap, and nothing really happens here. They're trying to go save people, and then blah blah blah.
Well, not only that, like they have Starfire, like they call her princess.
Yeah.
And they treat her as royalty. And there's like this person called Baron something. And I tried to look this dude up. And like, I don't know if he's a brand new character in the universe or if he's like a different character that Rosenberg thinks that he's supposed to be. It's all very confusing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see how we really move forward with this book compared to the DC versus Vampires. Like, I don't know where it all connects.
Yeah, it's very confusing. Nothing, like I said, really progresses in the story, in my opinion, because I think they're still trying to bring Batman back, right? And then they're trying to find this Lazarus pit. And then, yeah, there's a backstory that is Nightwing in Dark Birth Part 2, which this doesn't. I'd have to go back and read the first issues, but how was Nightwing able to be out in the sun?
From what we were told, it was Starfire's blood that did this to him, which I assumed, that means that they already have Starfire and she's been turned. And I'm pretty sure they depicted Starfire being turned, or at the very least, they made it sound like they used her blood and then killed her.
Yeah, I don't know.
So this book doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, and then it's weird. So he has this moment where he's gonna kill his sister or something at the very back, and he doesn't do it. So he gets bit by a super hot vampire, and then ends up killing that vampire. But it's too late; he's already been turned, and now he's Nightwing vampire guy, and so he's been a vampire this whole time, which we know about. We already found that out in the story, but I'm like, how did he survive everything for so long then? Like, you know what I mean?
Wait, you just have him being bitten by some random vampire chick? Nobody really important to his life? That's kind of boring.
It's some I don't know, it's somebody important to them. You killed Pandora, the oldest, the strongest of us. So, was this the queen that started the whole thing? You know what I mean? How the queen died at the start of the book? So was it
Maybe.
Nightwing that killed her?
But no, that the way they mentioned it was, oh well, maybe because I guess he would have turned before the whole story of like Batman getting the family together. So
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, I don't know. Not a great book. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But let's jump over from one supernatural DC book to another. Deceased War of the Undead. What did you think of this book?
This was a little bit of a quick read.
Hmm.
Um but I didn't really feel like it did much, unfortunately. I felt like there needed to be more Kyle Rayner. Thankfully, he is here. Thankfully, he didn't immediately die like they did in Injustice. Tom
Yeah,
Taylor, I still hate you for it. Um, but I mean, I think that freaking undead Yellow Lantern Darkseid is pretty fucking cool. Like,
I actually thought that was pretty cringe.
really.
I think the art is bad. I don't think
Well,
it looks good.
I know that you've kind of been down on this art since the beginning, though.
Yeah, yeah. But like just the way Darkseid looked, I didn't really think it was that great.
I think that
Uh,
it's very hard to depict because of his skin being like really crackly and rock like, and
yeah,
it looks very odd on his like shoulders and muscles and stuff.
for sure. One thing I want to point out is because we had this discussion in the Discord. We know Drew is not a fan of Tom King's writing when it comes to Guy Gardner. This dialogue was fucking terrible for Guy Gardner, and I was like,
Yeah,
I want to know, Drew. You listen to the podcast. If you read this book, just find this section and let me know if this is the Guy Gardner you want. Because if this is the one you want over Tom King's, bro, I'm sticking with Tom King's all day because this was horrible.
hey, Soups, I'm not a big fan of cancel culture, but
Yeah,
maybe we should cancel Brainiac here. It was not great.
yeah,
Um, and I do like the idea of Brainiac helping, of him being scared to the point of like saying, "Hey, I'm willing to give up my knowledge
yeah,
to help the universe reign so that way I may be able to get back to doing this." Because that's eventually what the villains would do, right? They would just be like, "Hey, this is only a temporary team up until I can fucking rule the world again," you know?
yeah,
Uh and I enjoyed this book, but there was some moments like that I was like, it could be a lot better. And
yeah,
this story in particular didn't really move the needle for the progression of the story. I think the Doom tubes are kind
mhm.
of lame. I think that's like,
It was just to have the name, I think.
I think it was just to have the name and for the idea of like,
Death
oh, now,
Racer's cool though.
well, oh, the
I like Death
yeah,
Racer.
the Death Racer is always cool. I like when he shows up. But for the fact that he's like, oh, now every single mother box has doom tubes and no one could use a boom tube ever again because
Yeah,
the only thing that doom tubes can transfer are the undead and something else. I can't remember.
yeah,
Uh or the unalive or whatever they call it. Uh but at one moment when Supergirl punched the shit out of Kyle Rayner, I did think that she like immediately killed him, and I was like, "You motherfuckers!" Like my
yeah,
favorite Lantern, and you killed him like a second after he appears in the
yeah,
book. I fucking hate you. But I I enjoyed the action here. I always like when Sinestro, Kyle, and his daughter, Sinestro's daughter, always
mhm,
have like some screen time in a comic or some panels together. Because they're just like a really fun dynamic, knowing that like they are dating and Sinestro's like, stop fucking my daughter, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it was an interesting book. I don't know. Yeah, it didn't move much, but I mean, it is what it is at this point. This is what the third, fourth season of this already.
This is the
So
third iteration of it, and this is
yeah,
only issue 2, so we still have 6 more issues.
yeah. Coolio, coolio. Let's move on to Batman World's Finest. This obviously art looked freaking amazing, but we saw reverse Superman here, or parallel world universe
Yeah,
Superman
so
from Gotham.
this is Superman and I won't say Superman and Batman combined or made
Yeah.
into one. So there is this kid, I can't remember what his name is. But he is from Gotham on a parallel universe,
Mm,
and his parents, being scientists, sent him out into the universe as their planet is destroyed,
yeah.
and he is from Gotham. And when he enters, Earth Prime's world, it's almost like a phasing of the world because it goes right through the bat wing,
Yeah.
and freaking Dick Grayson's like, is that a ghost? It just hit us and nothing happened to us. Superman catches it, and this kid is scared out of his mind. Like, what happened? What's going on? Blah blah. And I really dug his powers. They explain it later in the book, saying that just like Superman, his powers are from the sun, but because he's not Kryptonian, it's not Kryptonian powers. Instead,
Mhm.
his body reacts to the heat and the coldness of his body and reacts like that.
Yeah.
And when he does it for the first time, there's an homage to Jim Lee's All-Star Batman cover.
Yeah.
Um, and although really cringe book, and like any homages that work organically, I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And this one does technically work organically. They're trying to cover their bodies so that way none of the ultraviolet light hits them. So I thought that was very, very cool. And Superman takes him to the city of Kandor in
Yeah.
the Fortress of Solitude, and the scientists there work on him. They, give him a suit. He makes the offhand comment of like, "Man, does everybody in this freaking uh on this planet dress like this?"
Yeah.
Dick Grayson's like, "Only the cool kids."
Yeah.
Dude,
I
and
love.
Dick Grayson is totally hitting on some chick.
Yeah, he's super trying to bang somebody in the Kandor planet. Uh,
Oh shit.
literally uses the line like they say everything is bigger on Earth. God damn, Dick Grayson, Jesus. Doesn't matter
It's
your
so
size,
good.
freaking Dick Grayson's going for it. But yeah, I thought this was kind of cool. And yeah, there was just a lot of just essentially it's just telling this kid's story. But the one cool moment is, of course, Batman found his parents in this parallel universe. The kid, overexcited with joy, jumps to them. They start freaking out and they're like, "What the hell's going on?" He's like, "It's me, David." And then Superman brings him back to another rooftop. And he's like, "You can't do that." And Batman's like, "That those are your parents, but their son David died when he was 3, and so you can't open up their wound again right now." And so this kid starts crying. Bruce, you can tell Bruce is obviously going through. He's been through that too. Superman's been through it, and they're talking about like we can't take care of a superpowered kid. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think it's Superman. And it's like, can't you, Dick and Alfred? And he's
Yeah,
like, yeah, we could, but he has superpowers. We are not fit to train somebody like that.
yeah,
So, Clark, it looks like you just become a father.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Because
And
this is
he's like,
early on in
yeah,
the universe, which, I mean, yeah, I guess this was very early. Now it's continuity. So we'll see where David is in the future because it says
I'm sure Mark
continuity.
Waid is going to bring him somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. But then the book ends with him going to see the Teen Titans, which I think was kind of cool. And then we see Keymaster, or what is this guy's name? Yeah, Keymaster of Gotham.
I do not know who this guy is.
Neither
Might
do
be a
I.
new character that Mark Waid has created, but I
Yeah.
did like the introduction of the Teen Titans here. I think they look
Yeah.
great.
I thought it was pretty cool. So, yeah, World's Finest is awesome. Can't say the same thing about Batman versus Robin. So,
Yeah.
it's pretty unfortunate. But it's also because Dan Moore is drawing this, so everything looks pretty. Um, So we'll go from there. What about Nightwing? I thought it was a quick read.
It was a quick read. I felt that it was very quick.
Yeah.
There was some cringe moments here. Some very questionable moments at the very end.
Yeah.
That I'm not entirely sure I feel like I'm happy about. Just because, like, when somebody loses a heart, they're pretty dead, you know?
Yeah.
I know it's comic books, and you can be like, oh, there's an artificial heart, whatever. But spoilers for what I just said. Heartless takes Blockbuster's heart at the end of this.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing.
What could happen here is this is the way I think it's gonna play out, is somebody's gonna find his body. They're gonna keep him alive somehow. And eventually, well, not everybody's heart's going to be returned because everybody else is probably dead. But Blockbuster will somehow have survived this, but have lost his memory once he gets his heart put back in.
I can see that. Now that you say it, that totally makes sense. And it's kind of one of the big things that Taylor is known for like, again, in this world of like big universe stuff, there's always these moments of like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that changes the DC universe. Oh, there's no more consequences. And I say that because, yes, Blockbuster learns that Dick Grayson is, in fact, Nightwing. There's this huge battle, which I really did like all of the fight. I love the panel progression for this. And, like, the moment when Barbara sees that, like, all of Bloodhaven is, like, trying to, clean up and trying to put out the fire at Haven, at Safe Haven. And like he wins the fight of Blockbuster, and Blockbuster is like trying to call for help or whatever. And the one thing that Barbara was able to do, instead of helping Dick Grayson directly, she told the two villains and all of like Blockbuster's backup, basically, hey, you know all those prisons you gone to? Yeah. Blockbuster invests in those prisons because he knows that you guys will eventually need work. He is putting you under his thumb, the entire system. And so they're like, what the hell? And so when they confront him, he's like, you know what? I had some friends in there. I did some time there. I barely survived. Fuck you. Like, I'm not doing this shit again. And they did like the comics code for like his fucking middle fingers and curse words. I thought it was funny. But how do you feel? Because this is on the nose a lot for the Barbara and Dick Grayson romance. Like, do you like it when the dialogue is this on the nose and this direct? Or do you like it a little bit more subtle?
No, I don't mind it. I know some people will see it as cringe, but I like that it's different, that like Dick Grayson didn't go down the Bruce Wayne route of like, you're in danger, we can't be together anymore. I like how Barbara was like, shut the fuck up. Like, we're always in danger. You know what I mean? Like, I like that he got put in his place. You know what I mean? And she's like, we're in this together. Like, because I do think it's kind of stupid that, I mean, Dick Grayson has a point of like, Batgirl's not going to be in trouble. Barbara Gordon's going to be in trouble. You know what I mean? And so that's understandable. But like at the same time, Batgirl can take care of herself. And like you don't really have to worry about her. That's kind of why I like Bruce dating Catwoman, because you don't have to worry about Catwoman. She's been in a bunch of situations she can get herself out of. You know what I mean? They're not damsels in distresses, like a lot of, unfortunately, comic book counterparts usually are. And so I like that she's just like, we're in this together and nothing has to change and blah, 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 blah. And so I enjoy that because I'm tired of like characters being split up. Like how many times, like imagine if Superman did that every time Lois got attacked. You know what I mean? Like we can't.
It would get super freaking annoying, man.
Yeah. And so like it's so dumb when we see that happen. It's like, dude, if you're a significant other and your partner is a superhero, you probably just comes with the territory, right? It's like dating a police officer, right? Like every time they go out the door, it could be the last time you see them.
Yeah.
Because it's a dangerous line of work. Or a soldier, right? Like if you have family that's like in the military and they go off to war, you might never see them again. Very common a thing for a lot of our grandparents back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of how it is. So comic book characters doing the same kind of thing. I understand it. And like with the amount of technology and shit they have, they could easily be like, I'm in trouble, press a button. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Wally West or somebody shows up or whatever. So like, I don't understand why it would need to be that big a thing. And then, yeah, of course, at the end of the book, we saw, oh, my voice. We saw freaking Heartless take over, you know, Blockbuster's heart. And I mean, I still think we haven't really heard shit about what's his name's sister, Dick Grayson's sister, in this whole story. We still don't know a lot. He just kind of goes with it. But now at least we're finally getting back to the Heartless story.
Yeah.
I mean, which really took a back seat for a really long time. And so yeah, I'm glad we're finally getting back to that story. Now let's move on to the well, it's not the final book because Clay didn't read all of Batman One Bad Day, which is Two-Face, but we'll end with that book. But let's move on to Catwoman 47. Now, did you read this book? I'm assuming you
I did read this book.
What'd you think of it? Because the synopsis for a lot of these lately have been kind of just playing with it, but this isn't the really sus one. It's 48 that's going to be the sus one that I'm excited to read Batman 48.
So this is basically a filler episode. I felt like it didn't do anything for any kind of progression as far as the characters go. Now, it did very much emphasize at the very beginning of this book that both Valmont and Selena Kyle are either pansexual or bisexual, either or, because they're flirting with a stewardess, and they also said, oh, well, maybe we should bring in the other guy and, see who flirts better with him. So that was one thing. Kind of, again, talking about relationships, not really knowing where it makes it look like Selena is not solidified in her relationship. And I understand there's a lot of different ways people can look at relationships. For one thing that I always told Abby whenever it came to me being in sales jobs, it's very, very shady and very weird. Being flirtatious is a sales tactic for people. And I told her about it when I was in sales, especially at the comic shop. And she was like, I mean, you work at a comic shop. I think I'm fine. I'm like, ouch. Okay.
God damn. God damn.
But
to be fair, I've been in that comic shop sometimes. There have been some pretty ladies in there.
Yes, there has been.
So
but honestly, there wasn't really anything that really caught my eye in this issue, to be honest.
Yeah, no, my only thing that I cared about this was the end of the issue seems like Valmont and Catwoman are at odds almost. Because of something Valmont did, but it kind of gets corrected, but it does kind of seem like he's not her favorite person. You know what I mean? Because they're stealing some stuff, and while this is all going on, the guy that's been like the son of the crime boss gets captured at one point, and Catwoman and Valmont are doing all this fighting and trying to steal shit. They're in a vault, and this is at the very end. They're in Austria, and they're stealing something, and Selena opens a box, and she finds all this paperwork, and essentially finds out that there are women that are being like trafficked or something like that. And Valmont's all like, yeah, I know. And she's like, you know about this? And he's like, yeah. He was like, these are these women's lives and you have done nothing. And so she's getting like really pissed. And he's like, let me explain. And he's like, no, fuck you. The police are here. We got to get out. And so they end up getting out of the whole situation by kicking some ass or whatever. Artist choice here decided to give Catwoman wide eyes. Does not look good.
With no pupils, this was very odd to me.
Weird choice. But then it comes out like after Selena's like really pissed at Valmont, she's like, so your contact was Interpol. And he's like, yeah, they didn't have the evidence to move in unless, of course, someone robbed that bank. Not bad, Valmont. oh no, I'm just now getting service. And then Selena finds out that that guy has been captured. So you can view this as two ways. Like when I was reading the issue, I was like, at that moment when she was really pissed, getting it pissed at Valmont, I kind of got the vibe like she knows Batman wouldn't have let that stand. You know what I mean? Like Batman, if he would have found out a bunch of people were being trafficked, granted, because I know some people might fight me on this, Batman has allowed certain things to go on, but he always views it from the point of as long as nobody's getting hurt, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Like people's lives aren't in danger. Like people stealing and stuff. We saw that in that weird like Fortress episode, right? Or issue where he talks about like people are stealing, but these companies have insurance. It doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? I'm more worried about the people that are in danger. So that's how I view it. So if Batman came across a trafficking ring with a bunch of women or whatever, he would break in and free them all. You know what I mean? And he would worry about getting the evidence or anything later or going after the main people. Valmont here seems like he just let it happen. He was like, well, I can't really do anything about it, so I'm just going to kind of wait for my contact to get the evidence they need. And so I'm kind of hoping that Selena notices that. And I'm still calling because the next issue, the synopsis says, like, when new lover meets former lover or something along those lines. At the end of this issue, it does not seem like they are in a lover mentality. You know what I mean? And even when like Clay was mentioning that they were talking about flirting with the stewardesses or whatever, there's a panel where she's sticking a knife like in his side or something like that. So like they're not super lovey-dovey, which is another reason why I hate what Zdarsky did in his first issue with Catwoman and Valmont. And he made it seem like they were like banging. You know what I mean? Teenie Howard has not done that at all. So if he's like, if Zdarsky is like, I'm following her lead, well, you fucked up her lead big time. You know what I mean? In my opinion. But anyways, so I don't know what's going to happen in the next issue. I'm refreshing every day on our books to find out. I'm still calling they save this guy or whatever, because that's what's the next issue is gonna be about. I think there might be a possible kiss gonna happen, and Bruce shows up, and he's like Selena, and she's like, oh, you know what I mean?
No, but here's the thing: do you think it's going? Because here is the tricky thing in my mind, because you used to be able to get away with it, and now I don't think you can anymore. Do you think the kiss will be voluntary, involuntary, forceful, or any kind of controversial in that kind of capacity?
I think it is going to be like I think it either happens or it's like it either happens and then Bruce shows up, so it's just a straight consensual kiss or whatever, or they're like leaning into it like after maybe a big battle or something.
I was gonna say kind of the heat of the moment type of thing.
Yeah. And then Bruce shows up and he's like, Selena. And then Valmont's like, oh fuck. I really want to see if that happens, because I think 49 and 50 have already come out, the synopsis. And 49 seems like Valmont's not involved, but 50 says Selena calls on an old lover or some bullshit like that. I'm like, what? So he's gonna be gone an issue, I guess. I really want to see Selena see both of them in action and just see how Bruce is better and more trusting and saving her back than Valmont, and then she just kicks him to the curb. Like, I would like that, because that would be a more symbolic issue for relationships, right? I think a lot of people have been tested in relationships, you know? They always say that thing like you're more desirable when you're in a relationship to people, right? And when you're single, nobody gives a fuck. It's because it's just like, you know, it's why you're always going to be there. You're single. You know what I mean? But when you're with somebody, I can't have you. So now I want you. So I kind of would like to see that kind of dynamic play out, where Selena is maybe like, oh, this guy's always around, so it's easy for me to kind of like maybe get close to him. And then Bruce shows up and she's like, oh, I remember that one. That one's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we'll see what happens and see where that goes. But for the most part, I think the next issue is going to be the most telling to see if something actually fucking happens between them, because it literally says lovers in the synopsis. And if they don't bang in the next issue, I don't know why they're using that verbiage. And at that point, it's just a sales tactic, I guess.
Yeah.
You know? So we'll find out next issue, ladies and gentlemen. That's a month from now. If you see me crying on Twitter, then you probably know what happens. So, but anyways.
No, I saw, I don't know if you follow her on Twitter, Mia, the like Batcat enthusiast on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if they follow me, but I've definitely been connected to conversations with them.
She is just like, man, Teenie Howard's getting on so many books. I just want her off of Catwoman.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty crazy. But we'll see what happens. But moving on to the final issue of this week, ladies and gentlemen, it is Batman One Bad Day, Two-Face by wow, I can't even say this name right now. It's literally blanking. It's Tamaki. Is Mariko Tamaki. So yeah. Now, where did you said you read half of this, or out of what you've read, how were you feeling about it from what you've read?
I only read, I think, like the first 5 to 10 pages.
Okay.
I was feeling pretty good about it. I mean, it wasn't a horrible book at all. I feel like this is kind of going back to like Tamaki's like beginning of Detective Run, where we're like, oh, okay, like I can see why she got onto this book.
Yeah.
But nothing really big happened in those first few pages that I was reading, so I couldn't really get into anything else. Like,
Yeah,
I think the last thing that I read, I saw that Officer Nakano was a part of this story.
Yeah, so continuity. By the way, Tom King has announced that all of these books are in continuity. So just throwing that out there. Now, I kind of want to go back and read Riddler to see if he referenced any of his other books, because then that would make his other books continuity. And then I can just shit on everybody. Be like, oh, bitch. But I think Riddler's like before maybe some of this stuff. So who knows? Anyways, so yeah, this book, I will say, I liked it visually, but the one problem I had was this whole book centered around Two-Face is the new DA again. I would say Nakano is a fucking terrible mayor because he's done so bad for Gotham City. He's not the mayor here, if I'm not mistaken, because he's still a cop. But no, actually he is, which is, it says Gotham City present day. Okay, so Nakano hires Two-Face to be the new DA. And I don't know about you, I just don't think that's a smart move.
Well, and that's the thing that we've been really confused on. Well, I guess we haven't really been confused on it because we haven't really mentioned it since Arkham Tower. We haven't seen from anyone, whether that be from Chip, whether that be from Ram V, what happened to Nakano. So this might be in the past, because remember, in Ram V's story currently, Bruce and Two-Face were chummy, and then all of a sudden being injected with whatever he was injected with, it looks like Two-Face is coming back.
Yeah.
So this might be sometime during her detective run.
So here's the thing, since you didn't finish this book, and I'm going to kind of just zip through it. The whole concept of this book was that somebody is going after Two-Face's father, because his father's retiring from a company. I didn't even know his dad was still alive. Two-Face's dad is retiring, and Two-Face is like, I looked into it. I can't find out who it is. You're a detective. Can you solve this for me? You know what I mean? And we go on this whole wild goose chase of Bruce trying to figure out who it is. He can't figure it out. And the moment I saw this, I was like, it's Two-Face. It's Two-Face. I know it's going to be Two-Face. And there was this cool moment where Spoiler actually kind of talks shit to Batman, because she's like, why are you helping him? She was like, you and I both know what bad people do. And there was
shit. He's the reason why she fucking died.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, like, her dad is Cluemaster. So she was like, you can't trust these kind of people. Like, why would you even allow him? Why would you allow this? So Spoiler's not a big fan, but she's like following Batman around, and she's like really involved. And so Batman can't find out who is trying to kill the dad. And so this party is going on without a hitch. They hired extra security, and some of the Bat family's like involved. Barbara's of course at the computer doing Oracle shit, and Batman's just like ready to go. And what they start giving the speeches or whatever. Everybody's like, everything looks good. What ends up happening is when they finally figure out what's going on, because there's some cops that were arrested. So the cops that are in the building now are like bad people, and they bring out a cake. And once they reveal what the cake says, it has Two-Face on it, and his dad already ate some of the cake, and it has the poison that blows up your face and like makes it all Two-Facey. Which, how you could make it happen on one side of your face, I don't know.
That's confusing.
Yeah, so he eats the cake and it makes him Two-Face-esque. And Batman realizes, like, oh, there's toxin. Or I think one of the girls, it's either one of the Batgirls.
So I'm looking at it now. Why does Cassandra Cain look like she is now 30 years old?
Yes, right? Like, they don't know what they're doing. She looks like a mature young woman.
As weird as this is gonna sound, she kind of looks fine in this panel, and I'm just like, what? How? What?
She gives off her mother's vibes.
Yes, Shiva.
Yeah. So like, they need to really decide, like, are we dealing with like older Batgirls or younger Batgirls? You know what I mean? Like, we really need to solidify that, because she looks way older here. And also, if they are teenagers, why is a teenager at this party?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So whatever. I understand, like, oh, she's part of the family. That's why she's there. I guess they could do that. But anyways, they find out that there's noxious gas and shit in the balloons, all these balloons that they have. And they're like, oh, we got to get the balloons out. So Batman breaks a window. He was like waiting for a gust of wind or something like that. So very Batman-y shit. The Batgirls show up. They start kicking some ass. And Two-Face runs after his father, and he's like, oh, Dad, like, just letting you know, you've always kind of been ashamed of me or whatever. His his face is boiling, and he's like, I could kill you. And he looks like he's about to kill him, and Bruce is like, not gonna happen. Starts fighting Two-Face, and then what ends up happening is you see the wife see the dad, and she's like, she's all scared, and the dad ends up killing himself because he doesn't want to look like Two-Face. So he ends up taking his own life, and Two-Face is like, it's already done, man. Like, I don't even need to kill him. Like, I already knew what was going to happen. And so we see all of that. And at the very end, there is this conversation between Batman and Two-Face. And it's revealed, which this straight up fucks all of Ram V's 2 issues that he's wrote.
Yeah.
But Two-Face admits, he was all like, it's not 2 people. We are Two-Face. Harvey Dent and Two-Face want this. We are one, but, that's essentially what he's saying. Like, we are the same person. We are Two-Face. And so, because everybody's like, there's a good person in there. Here's a bad person in there. Like, split personalities. Now, some people could hate that, because some people like the split personalities because it fits into the two dynamic.
Yeah.
But Two-Face is here. He's like, it's not. And you could easily rewrite this if you want and be like, no, that was Two-Face taking over my part of the body. You know what I mean? So I guess you could say it doesn't really fuck with Ram V. But here, in this whole One Bad Day, which is continuity, Two-Face has said that everything he does is because I'm Two-Face. Like, I am Two-Face. Me and Harvey Dent. And so that happens. And then he also tells, because he knows Batman is Bruce Wayne. So this makes sense in Ram V's run. And I think it's all these One Bad Day things are all going to kind of probably reveal all of these people know who Bruce Wayne is, like Batman is. Which it makes them like the S-tier villains because they don't care that he's Bruce Wayne. And I'm okay with that. But if everybody if Condiment King knows who he is, like that, oh, come on, man. Like, what the fuck? I don't mind the S-tier guys knowing it, because I think at that point it's personal for them and they want to kill Batman. They don't care about Bruce Wayne. You know what I mean? Because you get clout if you do that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what it kind of comes down to. But Two-Face essentially is telling Batman, like, what about you? What about your dual personality, which is Bruce Wayne and the Batman? Like, who is the real one, or some shit like that along those lines. So that's kind of the whole book. And then we see there's like a small funeral at the end, and then Two-Face is still flipping his coin, and he just says, "Batman, my enemy and friend. We will meet again." And he like catches the coin, and that's the end of the book. But I will say, the only thing I didn't really like about this book was how easy it was to know that it was Two-Face.
Yeah.
Like, I automatically guessed it was Two-Face. I was like, they didn't even try to throw me a curveball. I just knew it was Two-Face. And so that was the only thing that really kind of bothered me. I don't care about the, oh, we are Two-Face or whatever, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't bother me that much. I know some people are probably going to be really upset about that. But for the most part, I don't care. I think it was a decent book to read. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen in the next ones. I don't know whose book is next, because I didn't know that these were going to be so far apart from each other. Like this series of One Bad Day.
I don't know if we have anything next month, but let's take a look.
Yeah.
One Bad Day, the Penguin is coming out the 18th of October, and we currently already have it.
Do we?
Yep, along with Batman Superman World's Finest number 8 on that same day.
Did that just update? You're saying we have it, because I was literally checking at the start of this podcast. Oh, we just got these. Oh, yeah, we only have 2 books. God, give me the full thing, man. Because I'm pretty sure the 18th is when Catwoman comes out. So,
yeah, it will be.
Refresh. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this podcast. Clay, I assume you don't have anything this week?
No, because currently, while I am on maternity leave, Batman News Weekly will be the only podcast that I'm going to be doing for the entire month of October. So,
nice.
I am taking a break from everything else, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go check them out. Go check out DC Alliance. Go check out Star Wars Alliance while they review Andor, the Disney Plus series. And Ranger Alliance is also taking a break. So, if you want to hear from me, I'm going to be right here at Batman News Weekly.
Nice. I'm sure if you're listening to this on YouTube, there's links to all my stuff in the description. But I haven't been really doing much content right now because I'm working on a whole bunch of other stuff. And come to the live stream sometimes. There hasn't been one this week, but turn on notifications and you'll get notified when that happens. But that's gonna be it, ladies and gentlemen. As always, he is Fanboy Clay. I am Juice Wayne, and remember, Batman is awesome. See you guys next time.